Most people think that the kitchen is about food. It's not. It's about pressure. It's about who you become when the rush starts to hit, when the chef is watching you like a hawk, and your mistakes are made in public, whether it's in a dining room or to millions of people watching from home. Today, my guest is Chef Magali Ort. She's the executive chef at BakerStreet Steakhouse in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and a lot of you know her from Hell's Kitchen, where the margin of error is basically zero, and the standards are set high by Chef Gordon Ramsay. But what I care about isn't the TV version of her. I want to know what it was like cooking with Gordon Ramsay, judging every decision, and what that pressure revealed about her leadership, her identity, and the cost of excellence. I want to know what broke, what sharpened, and what she's building now, when the cameras are gone and the standards are still high. My name is Chef Ismael, and this is Chef Ismael's Kitchen Quest. Every dish tells a story, and with Rough Chop, that story begins with passion, precision, and purpose. We bring the soul of your vision into the world of fine dining, creating an unforgettable experience for those who are wanting more than just a meal. Whether it's a private dinner or an elegant catered event, this is where every plate becomes a moment. Elevate your next gathering with us and book now at roughchopllc.com.
I saw it. I
Awesome.
can confirm it.
Yes, it even says recording this time. All
Beautiful.
right. Chef, well, actually, to the audience, before we get started, this is our second time recording here. I messed up pretty hard last week or a couple weeks ago trying to record this. And yeah, welcome back.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me.
um, Chef, I know we had a conversation earlier today and earlier and throughout the week and trying to, um, get a feel for who you are and what you're about. And um, I did want to ask a few follow-up questions
Yeah,
from the last time that we spoke,
of
just
course.
because I did want to dig a little deeper into
Mhm.
it. But for those who don't know who Chef Magali Art or is, uh, please let us know who you are and what you're about, and yeah.
I am Chef Magali Ort. I also go by Chef Mags if you follow me on the internet. I am I would say, I hope people don't take offense to this, but we call a recovering Californian. So that's what we call the people that have left California and move out to invade our sunshine into the rest of the country. I am currently in the Midwest. I live in Indiana. I am the executive chef of BakerStreet Steakhouse in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So if you're around there, come and say hi.
Awesome. So we when I first saw you, I saw you on Hell's Kitchen
Oh yeah,
season.
I did that thing too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So tell us about Hell's Kitchen. What's one sound from Hell's Kitchen that you still hear when service starts to get intense?
The pans. I think it's there was a lot of moments on the show where I feel like I kind of stepped out of my had like a out of body experience in a way where I like kind of stepped back and I was like, okay, like we're going, like, just in the chaos, having those pans going and like the communication going, but like in a way being like, oh crap, I'm here. You know what I mean? And even like when I'm busy at the restaurant, I'll have that moment too where I have my best saute cook on my right and my best broiler cook on my left, and we're all communicating, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm back in it, you know. And I was sick last week, and I that was one thing too, like just the communication in a team too. My broiler cook looked at me and he was like, "Hey, it's you and me. Let's go." And I'm like, "All right, we're doing this." And on Hell's Kitchen, we would do that a lot, where we would just be like, "Okay, like look at me. This is what we're doing. Like we're together in this." So just having that team bond and that team spirit has been really amazing. That I've carried that over into my own personal kitchen.
So when that happens during service, is it like an adrenaline dump? You just, or is it like, hey, I gotta lock in, I'm focused, and let's push through service?
Yeah, so definitely locked in. Again, we kind of talked about this last time where like I'm a very bubbly personality and I genuinely do care about my team. I do ask them about their personal life and all that. And with my front of house team too, I explained this. I was actually talking to Chef Amanda from Hell's Kitchen as well. We're besties, so we like, we still keep in touch. But I sometimes feel that my team feels like I'm a little insane because I do have two personalities. I am chef and then I am Magali. So, Magali will ask you, "Hey, how's your day?" "Oh, okay." Like, did are you still going to school? Whatever, blah blah. And then like during service, I'm like, "Okay, like 2 words, communicate. That's it. Let's go." Like, you know, time is precious here. Like we're going. And I think that's my Disney background going into like boom, 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 let's go. So I feel like that intensity sometimes, like some of my team, they're like, they just can't put the two together, if that makes any sense. But
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I definitely agree and see where you're coming from with that
Yeah.
because um, even when I was an executive chef, when it was time to lock in,
Yeah.
uh, from what I was told, looked intimidating
Yeah.
because it was more like, everybody has to get their things together,
Yeah.
or else I'm gonna kick you off the line. Because
Exactly.
at the end of the day, we're there to do a job, and there's a time and place to be messing around too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's one of my cooks described it perfectly, and she said that our kitchen is like a pirate ship.
Yes.
Everybody has their own personalities, and at the end of the day, we all cuss like sailors too.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a great analogy.
Yeah.
So if people only know you from TV, what's the most important part of you that they've never met?
I think it's the oh geez, I don't know. I don't know. This is a good question. I think the um at the end of the day, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. I'm striving to be the best person I can be. May that be in my career, may that be as a daughter, may that be as a wife, may that be as a sister. I feel like sometimes that is forgotten. That I'm also human. I make mistakes. I do love the company I work for right now. It's very family oriented. So I think like going from a very corporate structure, working at the Disneyland Resort to going to a still corporate but family owned has been a blessing just because I, get like today I was going to go in to prep for Valentine's Day weekend and they're like, no, no, no. You're going to stay home, do whatever you need to do and you can worry about this tomorrow. So like having that support system, um, it takes a team to do anything. I have my team at the restaurant, my husband behind me, pushing me. And I know sometimes it seems like, how do I put this? Like there's a curtain, you know what I mean? Like you have social media and then you have the show, whatever. You think you can know somebody, but you only know like 25% of their life in that aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all of this experience that you have right now, it comes with lessons learned. And, I've mentioned this to one of my friends earlier, was we didn't start off, running in our industry. We started off crawling,
Yes.
and learning our way up. So I want to know the version of you that existed before anyone believed in you.
I the version of me was just a rebellious teen. I basically I'm from Huntington Beach, California. I grew up in Orange County. As you know, like 15 years ago, it was like, you got to go to college, you got to get your degree. Then if you don't, you're a loser. Like, what are you doing with your life? You know what I mean? So I never really fit into that mold because I just, I just didn't have anything that I really wanted to do. I was kind of just not lost, but I'm like, okay, like I got time. And I talk about this with my 19-year-old brother. The fact that we think that we can like have an 18-year-old person and have them decide what they're going to do with the rest of their life is insane to me. Like that is no, like I don't, it's insane. So, for me, it was just, starting out, I had a lot of no's and a lot of doors shut in my face. Again, now thinking about it, if I were me coming up to me now, I'd be like, okay. So one of the experiences I had with my first restaurant job, I came in there very confident, may I say. And I talked to the chef and I was like, hey, I have no experience. I've never worked in a kitchen. I want to be one of your prep cooks. And he was like, what? Well, I don't need a prep cook. Now knowing, like those AM jobs are really secure for the OG people you've had for a while. So he told me I had a customer service experience. So he was like, you can work front of house. And I was like, what? Like I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked and like upset because I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I have the spirit, but it was a no. So I think from that, I kind of just learned to kind of take that no and be like, okay, well, watch me. I'm going to prove you wrong. Like, and I'll be 10 times better than you think I was. And then, so yeah, that was little me. And I think I kind of got addicted to the feeling of proving people wrong because, I even have a picture of it, but I love when I step into somewhere or a role or something and I just kind of do my thing and people are kind of taken aback and they're like, oh shit, like like what's going on. I'm like, yep.
So what was one moment that where it was like, oh, that sweet spot where you're just like I how do you say it? Can you tell me one moment where you were just like I'm glad I proved you wrong?
Yeah. So dang, that's a good question. Let's see, one moment where I'm like, okay, so I think it was when I was working in Los Angeles. So I moved from Orange County to Los Angeles to open a restaurant with a chef mentor that I was under at the time. I moved, signed a lease, then I quit the restaurant I moved for a month later. It was just not working out. Like the partners, myself and the chef were just not getting along. So it was just like, okay, we might as well just cut ties. I always believe to lead with kindness, because you never know, what someone's going through, whoever, anything like that. And our actions do affect people every day. Like 100% believer in that. But I remember the chef I worked for at the time would get upset with me for that. He would tell me like, hey, like, I don't know why, but he hated this one bartender we had and just like it was bad. Like he would throw away his tickets and like it was just so bad. But anyway, don't want to dwell on that. But I was always really nice to this bartender and I wouldn't be like, what do you mean? Whatever. I would just be like, hey, this is what you need. Let's go, whatever. So I was looking for another job and then the bartender was like, hey, I have friends who are owners in a restaurant group, and they're looking for a sous chef for this new thing they acquired. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'll go ahead and try out. He kept recommending me, telling him great things about me. Well, turns out that restaurant group was Chef Antonio LaFaso's restaurant group. And I was like, wait, what? Like I didn't understand it because I was so new to LA. I'm a young cook. Anyway, so it was just a back and forth. I get a call to go stage, and I was nervous, of course. They throw me on the pasta station at Scopa, and which is a really busy restaurant. Really, like there's a wait list. Like, oh my gosh, and I I was so taken aback because I was like, wow, this is what a real kitchen works like. This is how we flow. And I remember I could not remember the 3 cheeses we were finishing pasta with. And I like almost lost it. But I did the stage, went home. I cried on my way home because I was like, I'm not going to get the job. Like, I'm not good enough for this. Like, I can't do it. And then I get a call and they were like, she called me and was like, hey, I heard you did an amazing job and I want you to come work for me. And I was like, holy shit. Like, is this really happening right now? Like, I went from these bad experiences for the last 2 years and now I get my shot. And I remember what's it called? I was doing an event with her and she went to go, talk to people or whatever that wanted to meet her. And I was the sous chef on duty for that event. And then everyone's coming to ask me questions. And I'm kind of like, why is everybody asking me questions? And I'm like, oh crap, I'm in charge. Like, I'm in charge of this right now. Like, so that was the one moment where I was like, holy crap. Like, I am running an event for this amazing chef in LA, and I'm in it. I'm doing it. Like, I'm glad I'm doing this. So yeah, that was I think that was the first moment in my career that I really was proud of myself for sticking it through.
Yeah, I mean, our industry is such a small world, and it seems like everybody knows everyone.
Yeah.
And what you just said about being nice to everyone and courteous and everything like that, I mean, that's the right way to approach any situation, right? And I think that has to do with, I mean, for me, I personally look at it as a stoicism type of thing, right? When someone cuts me off, they must be having an emergency. They probably have a bad day. They're probably late for an appointment, you know? So don't let it get to you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, things like that, where you're being courteous and you're being nice and all that stuff, opportunities arise from the most random spots,
Yeah.
that you can imagine.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that, oh man, like, I'm in charge of this operation, this event, right?
Yeah.
So I want to know, actually, so what was the hardest lesson you learned the first time you held authority?
Real quick, if you're enjoying this conversation and you want more behind the scenes stories of the hospitality industry, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's free, it'll help us grow, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming up next. Now back to the conversation.
So I think my hardest lesson was that you can't make everyone happy. And again, going back to what you were just saying, like, if somebody's unhappy or whatever, it's because of something else. And as a youngling, I think it took me a second to not take that personally, where I was like, okay, what did I do to ruin your service? What did I do to affect you this way? And it did take me a second to realize that, okay, it's not me. You're upset because something else is going on in your life. There was this one instant where I had a cook that it was his summer job, and he didn't get his seasonal job back because it was more of a performance arts situation. And he was just older and, just wasn't wanted. They wanted younger people. And he was just always very upset. And I was like, what is going on? And he was like, this is supposed to be a summer thing. And I've been here for 1.5 years. And I'm like, okay, cool. What are we going to do to change that? And I remember he was just like, what? You're trying to get me out of here? I'm like, dude, if this isn't what you want to do, let me help you get out of it, because I don't want you to be sour, because you're going to, you know what I mean? Like, there are people that want to be here. There are people like myself. This is what I've always wanted to do in my life. Not always, but you know what I mean? So yeah. And I remember my upper management was like, are you pushing him out? He is one of the best cooks we have. And I'm like, listen, if he's going to be miserable, I don't want him here. So yeah, he went out and got his nursing degree, and now he's a nurse, and now he's living his best life. So I think that was like a turner, like a whole You 360 for me.
No, good for him.
Yeah.
So, I want to get into Hell's Kitchen. I'm a huge fan of Gordon Ramsay, right? He's always right behind me,
Yes.
watching my every move.
Watching every move. I love that.
So you walk into Hell's Kitchen or onto the show, right? You're on the boat, actually. I'll take that back. You're on the boat. And what are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
I just couldn't believe that I was up on set, because there are cameras around me, and when it is. I am glad that I had my experience in Los Angeles and with Chef Antonia and all the lights and the cameras, because I feel like I was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, that's there. But it was still like just a very, like, I say this all the time, I blacked out during the entire thing. Like, and I remember walking from the pier. No, actually, I remember getting on the first set that we were at for the boat at the marina, and I literally was looking at everybody and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know any of these people. And in my head, I'm like, these are going to be like my best friends. Like at the end of all of this, we're all going to be best friends. And we all do still talk to each other. So it's a shared trauma bond, But yeah, I don't know. I felt like I was a fish out of water for so long, especially after moving to Indiana. At the time of the show, I was a chef at a private university, which I took to take a step back, especially working at Disneyland and that, being insane. So just, yeah. And I just didn't feel like myself. I'm in a new place, new job that I don't really like. So for me, being on the boat, being able to touch the water again, and like just being in that, knowing I was going to be thrown in the Thunderdome, basically, was like, okay, like, let's go. Like, we're back. You know what I mean? So it brought me back to life. Yeah.
Seeing people to your right, people to your left, people in front of you. How did you feel about, I guess, just seeing them there? And then you mentioned you were a fish. You felt like a fish out of water. Why was that?
So it was more of like, being in Indiana and doing the school thing, and not, you know what I mean? Like, I did leave a very promising career in California behind to come out here. And I kind of felt like I, in a way, was still mourning that part of my life. So then being able to be around, chefs, and, we're all going through something in our life at the moment. And, later we got to know each other a little bit more. And it was really nice to be able to be like, okay, cool. I'm not alone. Like, there's so much that can happen. There's so many different aspects of this career. So just doing that. But then, so I was on the show, I was very confident that I was going to do well on the line. But again, I was not doing restaurants at the time. So I was like, I think it was 2 years since I've been in an actual restaurant. So I felt like I was just kind of like, oh shit, like, I haven't done this in a while, and I'm always the young one, and you know what I mean? So I was like, cool, like, you're still young, you still got it, like, let's go. And then it got to the point where I was like, I'm out of shape, like, I don't, like, it was, listen, at the university, my baker would bring me cookies all the time, like, I didn't have to. So it was a little, it wasn't intimidating, but where I thought I was going to strive, I really had a hard time. And I think I had a hard time accepting that, because that's kind of where I grew up, was the line, But I am proud of my creative part of it, because that's the one part I thought I was going to struggle, and it just kind of reversed in a way.
So what did you learn about yourself under the cameras that you probably didn't want the world to see?
That it's okay to feel your feelings. I think that was my biggest thing is like before I left for the show, like I told my parents, but my dad was like, "Do not cry, just please do not cry. Like I beg you, please, just don't cry." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure, Dad. Like whatever." And yeah, so I mean, this man grew up telling me that winners cry on the inside. So just love my daddy. But so I think, yeah, just seeing myself cry on TV, I'm like, oh man, like I really, like I was allowing myself to feel, but that's good. Um, but then I think it was last time I had uncles, my uncles were calling me like from New York, from California, and they're like, Mija, like you got to be stronger. You next week, and I'm like, that already happened. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I just felt so bad. I was like, man, everyone is, yeah, is what it is.
It's cool because I mean, people watching the show, even when I watch the show, we get so immersed
Yeah.
into all the chefs on the show, and we want to. I'm not saying that you're just another character, or any of the other chefs are being characters, but like you start to relate to them,
Yeah.
because it's. I mean, yeah, it's a reality show, but they're being real about
Yeah.
themselves, and then also while working the line. And then it adds an extra layer for people like me who are chefs, and we look at things hindsight 2020, or just like, oh man, I would have done this, I would have done that, and I'm sure you've done that too, and that
Yeah.
while watching yourself, right?
Yeah.
Um,
It's harder than
so
it looks. I will say that.
what was that?
It's harder than it looks.
You know what? I don't doubt that.
And I will say, I'm not trying to throw shade on there, but we did have less time than other seasons because we were head chefs. We did. We did have less time. I'm just throwing that out there.
How did you feel that you were walking into I guess into a competition with just all full head chefs?
So it's actually funny because walking in a Hell's Kitchen, we didn't know that it was a head chef only competition, because they really keep you in the dark, really, and I get that now because what you said, authenticity. They want us to be ourselves. So walking in, we did not know, and when Chef comes out for that first episode, and he's like, "It's head chefs only," we all looked at each other like, "Shit, this is gonna be so freaking hard." Like we already knew it was gonna be hard, but now it's like even harder. And like personally for me, it was hard for me to talk any type of smack about anyone because I was like, oh my gosh, that dish you made, what was in it? Like I genuinely want to know because I would like to grow as a culinarian. And we just kind of vibed together in that way. And we really like, again, I think that respect as head chefs and like that creative space that we have as culinarians, we just wanted to naturally just learn from each other. Um, but yeah, when I just remember in that moment too, I just couldn't believe it because a lot of my former teams want, especially one server, Yvonne, I love her. She always pushed me to try out for Top Chef. And I was like, no, 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 no. I am not good enough to be on Top Chef. I am, I'm just a little youngling here. Like I'm not, no, no, no. I can't compete against other executive chefs in the country. Are you kidding me? And then I have that there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Magali, like this is happening. Like this is happening. So I think that really helped me, especially in that time in my life, kind of come out of my shell and really immerse myself on who I am as a chef and as a person. Because it's like, cool, I do get to go in the Thunderdome with the big girls and the big boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fate was like, you're not getting out of this one.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Crap. Oh man.
So, I mean, okay, I've always dreamed about working with Gordon since the first time I ever saw him
Yeah.
on Hell's Kitchen, which was the first, ever cooking competition I've ever seen. But before that, it was Julia Childs and her cooking and
Yeah.
stuff like that on PBS. But when Gordon Ramsay looks at you, how do you feel? Do you feel fear, especially when working the line? Is it respect, motivation?
I think I think for a second it was just like, holy crap, you're saying my name. Or, like, oh my God, are you yelling at me right now? Like a total 2-second fangirl moment. And then like the third second's like, shit, I gotta go. Like we gotta do this. So I will say I think we all felt that way in a moment because especially, and this is something I tell my team now, growing up, people always mispronounce my name. So now that people know my name and how to pronounce it correctly blows my mind. And then like having Chef Gordon Ramsay yell at you and say, Magali, I'm like, shit, like you knew my name. So I think that was the biggest part in the beginning for me was the big fangirling and then just like, okay, cool, let's go. Like let's do this. Yeah, but that was pretty awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know. There are days where I'll just joke around where some of my chef friends would ask me like, how would you react if he ever called you out and started yelling at you? I honestly feel like I would just smile at him, just be like,
because you're just like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I will absolutely do that. Yes. Yeah. But it was also too where it was like, I think because there was always so much going on, and when we'd go into our confessionals, like there was one challenge we did, and one of the producers was like, "How did you feel about Chef trying your sauce?" And I was like, "He tried my sauce? Like I didn't even. I was so in, you know what I mean? Like so many moving parts." But it was really cool having him taste my food and tell me like it was good, even when he was mad at certain things. I won't say what it was because I don't want to get what I mean. But there was one dish that I did not look so appetizing, but he thought it was delicious and I think was pissed at me because it looked like crap. But he liked it, so I'm okay with that.
That's definitely important, right? Does it taste good? And if it does, you did your job.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, in that moment in the no, it's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah. So I guess on a serious note, what's one thing that he's told you that still guides you to this very moment?
I guess it was more of like, for me, the pushing of getting me there. There was a moment obviously where I kind of just started kind of not doing so well, towards the middle because I was just so exhausted and so missing my family, all that stuff, and all that does play a big role in it. But he kept telling me like, where is your confidence? Like, where did it go? And I didn't think about it then, but if you, I don't think they showed this, but when we walked onto the pier at the first episode, I actually almost fell walking out because I had like thick boots or whatever on, and I caught myself. But then I started doing like this catwalk by accident, and then all the contestants were like, "Oh shit! Like look at her! Like she's coming in here with all this confidence." I'm like, "No, like I almost just fell," but I'm not gonna tell them that. So I feel like when Brittany actually said that, she's like, "Oh, look at this bitch like coming in here like this," and I was like, "Yeah, I am that bitch," So I went from that to just like, so I was thinking about that. I'm like, this is who he saw at first and was like, okay, she's a potential winner. And then I just kind of, went down there. But for me, having that in my head, especially coming back from doing the competition, not being happy where I was in my job, not being happy where I was in my career. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna fix this. So I actually at the airport, I got dropped off at the airport in Connecticut, started looking for a job. And that is where I found the job opening for BakerStreet Steakhouse. And I knew the owners from a previous interview that just didn't work out. Called them and they were like, "Cool, when can you start?" So getting my confidence back in that way, and I still hear him in my head, like, where is the confidence? Where is it? And I'm like, it's right here.
That's such a powerful statement that, it doesn't necessarily just have to be from Chef Ramsay telling you that, but I think just reminding yourself that as well, right? Where's your confidence? And I think that's very good advice to anyone who's struggling with imposter syndrome or, something like that in the kitchen. But you mentioned your new position, or your I guess somewhat new, right? You've been there for a while.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about now your leadership and your culture in your kitchen. So what is that like working for you? And what was the vision when you're trying to cultivate a great culture in your team?
So a lot of it. So at the current restaurant I'm at, I think they just had, and I get it. It's one of the busiest restaurants in Fort Wayne. And sometimes it's just too much. Again, I'm from California. We are a bigger state. We have more going on. And then I come to Indiana, especially working at Disney. I went from seeing all those people, and I'm like, cool, I'm back in it. This is like, it's a high you chase. You know what I mean? But I told my partners, I was like, my goal is to have one of the best kitchens in Fort Wayne. I want to produce sous chefs. I want to produce culinarians. I want to produce all that, but I want to produce it in a non-toxic environment, in an environment where we can rely on each other as a team. If you're having a bad day, we are not going to be cussing at each other. We're not going to be saying, and I think that's where it kind of was like in the beginning. Like when I got there, a lot of the servers would talk to, they no longer work there, by the way. But they would come to the past and be like, what the hell is this? I asked for it medium rare and this is obviously medium. And I'm like, whoa, you are not going to speak to anyone in this kitchen that way. Like, we do not, it's a mutual respect. I do not care. If you guys want to go out for a beer later, go, whatever. But this is what it is. And I think I brought that level of professionalism to the restaurant that kind of surprised a lot of people, because I even had some servers saying, like, I'm sorry, we just have never had an actual chef here before. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that even mean? Like, like, I know you have, like, so it was just kind of that, bringing the culture into that professionalism of respect, but also having fun. And like we talked about this earlier, where it's like when it's time to mess around, we can mess around and have fun. But when it's time to go, it's time to lock it and go. Like there's, and that is one thing that I tell front of house, back of house, like we're all one house. And we're an ecosystem. We're an ecosystem. And I tell this all the time to my servers. And I'm like, listen, guys, I know you don't see my broiler cook in the back, but every time y'all bring a steak back, he genuinely is like, okay, could I have pulled that? Like, he starts analyzing every little thing he did to mess that up. So please, like, be gracious. Be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to you, it's just like, oh no, you didn't like it. No. This guy's overanalyzing everything he's done in the last 3 days. So just kind of bringing all that together, but also being okay with asking for help. And it took me a long time to get there, but asking for help, because we're all human and we can't do it by ourselves. You know what I mean? And if you're drowning, and like ask for help. It's okay. We're a team. Let's lean on each other and let's have fun.
Yeah. I'm glad. I've been told that too about the whole. We've never had a real chef here,
Yeah.
and your answer is very humble.
Oh, thank
Um, because at the end of the day, it's like you're setting the standard,
you. Mhm.
and not a lot of restaurants have the front of house and back of house as one unit,
Mhm.
and it's always not always. I don't want to say always because I mean, I that's something that I've also worked on and
Mhm.
changed as well in restaurants that I've worked in. But it seems to be a common factor that it's always front versus back, you
Yeah.
know.
I hate that.
And I remember working at a restaurant once, and it, I don't know why they thought it was a good idea, but it was like front versus back, and they for whatever reason there was a competition, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Like you guys are creating a division, and you're not bringing the team together to
Mhm.
to create one common goal, which is to serve our guests and to
Mhm.
make sure that they have a memorable experience, you know. But with that being said, I want to know what your definition of a healthy kitchen culture is, in observable behaviors.
Yeah. I think I've said this before in another interview. It's kind of moving from the old school chef mentality from
Mhm.
the previous generation to kind of like our generation now, where I feel like we have a little bit more empathy of, what's going on and all that stuff. But there is also a line in a way because we are running a business, right? So I like to think of it like a middle ground, right? Like, for example, sometimes I do feel because my kindness and my empathy do get confused for weakness. And then I
Mhm.
have so and so calling off 5 days a week and then upset that I let him go. But I'm like, okay, well, I need to hold myself accountable because you're not coming in. Well, that's a big F you to the guy that is coming in.
Yeah.
Right. But it is to me, that only happened once where somebody was genuinely like upset that I let him go. But I'm like, you have called out for an entire week. Like, this is just, we're not doing it. Um, but yeah, again, back to the healthy kitchen culture, being able to speak our minds, being able to grow and all that. And I guess for me personally, growing, I need to be more vocal about things, because in my brain, I'm like, cool, I have this cook who wants to be a lead, and I'm putting him on all the different stations, right, to learn. He doesn't see it that way. He's like, cool, she's just putting me on a station. She hasn't told me what my plan is, like where my growth map is. And I'm like, what? Like, you should just be stoked that, because if I were you, when I was in your shoes, I would say, cool, chef put me on grill. I'm gonna like master this in a week, or you know what
Mhm.
I mean? But like now I have to be more vocal. It's like, okay, you got 2 weeks to do this, you got 2 weeks to do that. Let's see where we're at. I want you to start helping me with features and XYZ. So not everybody always knows what's going on in my head. My sous chef tells me that all the time.
Mhm.
So I just have to be more vocal in that sense. But it is cool being able to develop all these young cooks, seeing them grow. One of my cooks right now in particular, he came to me a year ago when I first started at BakerStreet. He only had like minor experience, and our main broiler guy was sick. He jumped on, and I was like, "Hey, dude, wonderful service. Didn't get one steak back." And I was like, "Did you ever think that you'd be the broiler cook on a Friday night at
Fuck.
Baker Street?" And he was like, "No." And I'm like, "You did it today." So that was a really cool experience to have with him. So yeah,
That's a bold move on your part.
yeah,
Uh,
well,
Because I mean, the me working at a steakhouse previously, like the broiler and the grill station, they are like
the biggest.
that you've made it at that
Yeah,
point. You know,
yeah,
next point is the sous chef position.
yeah.
Um, and working with A5 Japanese Wagyu, working with Australian Wagyu, American Wagyu, and prime meats and upper two thirds and all that stuff, right? like it's a lot of responsibility and you have a lot of money on your line,
Yeah.
literally, you know?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like to put someone on that line, very, very
Yeah.
bold on your part.
Yeah.
um, and then to add on what you said earlier about how someone get, you know, they mistake your kindness with weakness.
Mhm.
Um, one thing that I've always told before
Mhm.
even like I guess during my interviews I would say this too, and then also my very first shift huddles with the team, is to never mistake my friendliness with friendship, you
Yeah.
know. And at the end of the day, everybody needs to understand that just because I'm being friendly doesn't mean that we're friends, you
Yeah.
know. And it's just at the end of the day, we're business. It's a business, you know,
Yeah.
and we're there to make money. We're all adults, and we all know what our responsibilities are. Um, so with that being said, with our generation, um, at least for me, I was brought up really tough.
Mhm.
Um, but do you think tough kitchen culture is necessary to create excellence, or do you think it's just a tradition that is protecting a dysfunctional kitchen?
Um, I do. So I do believe in turning up the heat, you
Hmm.
know, especially when it is, and I think that that's where my brain kind of goes, because at Disney, the heat was always on. We were on 11 to 11. We went. It did not matter. There was no stopping. And
Yeah.
at that, I mean, we weren't yelling at each other, you know. We were just like, "Okay, let's go. Like, you're my partner today." Like, and it was a beautiful dance that I got to experience and witness. So I know it's possible to have an efficient kitchen with professionals and not be screaming or whatever. You know what I mean? And we were an open kitchen as well, so that helped.
Yeah.
But like for right now, especially in Indiana, everybody eats at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. That blows my mind. So we go from, like, steady, steady to ramp it up and then ramp it down. So I think a lot of that is just turning the heat up, because that's what we're in the weeds. That's what we're doing, right? And this is funny, because so one of the owners of the restaurant of Baker Street is working at Baker Street a little bit more now with us, and his sister is our event coordinator. And he thought that I was mad at him because I was locked in, and he was trying to ask me a question. I'm like, dude, no, let's talk about this later. Like, I am plating
Hmm.
the dining room right now. And she was like, do not talk to her. She is locked in, And then she told me, she's like, people aren't used to that. They're not used to you, like, being, locked in or whatever. And like, I think with my core team that I have now, we have that mutual understanding, right? Where it's like, I'm not, and I always tell them, don't take it personally. It's just take it
Right.
professionally, right?
Hmm.
Because yeah, I need you to give me, you overcooked 2 salmon, whatever, just refire it. I'm like, we're not arguing, just do it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But also having that level of respect of one another. I did catch myself, and I did catch myself a while ago, just kind of, um, and I tell this to my sous chef, like, I'm not going to yell at the cooks. I'm going to yell at you, and you're going to fix it, because that's how we're going to do this.
Hmm.
And that's just, again, from my old school training in a way. And I quickly stopped myself, because I yelled for my sous chef, and I was like, hey, go fix. I don't know what he's doing. Figure it out, because he has no idea what the hell he's doing. I said that in front of the entire kitchen, and that embarrassed him. And I was like, Magali, that wasn't cool of you to do. So I caught myself. I apologized. But he told me, he's like, no, you're right. I don't know why I threw myself doing this or whatever. But at the same time, I'm like, I need you to understand that I'm pushing you to be better. It's not, and I'm not bullying, because you
Yeah.
know what that was like. But it's more of like, hey, why are we doing this? Why is this happening? Um, But yeah, but I think I've established a good culture in my kitchen where we know when it's busy and we're locked in, we're locked in. After service, let's go ahead and chat about how your day was or whatever. So
Hmm.
yeah.
You know, it, you know this already. I was at Trader Sam's at the Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah.
So shout out to the guys who are still there. uh, but I remember one of my leads, you know, snapping at me,
Yeah.
and I remember I was like, man, like shoot, he's right. And he did apologize too, but
Mhm.
at the end of the day, like I respected him so much and I
Yeah.
held him to probably one of the highest pedestals where I was like, man, I'm learning so much from him. And he rarely acted like that with me.
Yeah.
And so when it happened, like I felt so disappointed in myself because I
Yeah.
made him feel that way, you know.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like he was only trying to help,
Mhm.
and it sucks because it just, you know, how do you call it, like at least here, right? One of the things I always say is ponte las pilas, you know, and
Yeah.
pretty much, you know,
Yeah.
put the batteries on, you know,
Mhm.
get going.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, I you know, I was trying to stay consistent with what he was asking of me. And you know, and I thank him, and I still thank them. The last time I had him on my podcast about it. So Paul Sierra, if you haven't checked it out, make
I
sure you
will.
guys do that.
Everybody do it.
But so with that being said, what's next for you professionally?
Um, Professionally, I we set a goal for ourselves this year, and it's to be one of the best. We are going to be the best steakhouse in Fort Wayne. I am pretty proud of that. I am pretty proud of my team, seeing them flourish. I want to produce the best culinarians in Indiana. So I think for me, a lot this time in my life, it's going to be a lot about growing and teaching. I think that's one of the best things I could do, one of the best things I want to do. And, you know, I always say if I'm not learning, I can't teach those with me. So that goes for myself as well. Um, and being able to, you know, say yes to things. You know, if maybe do another competition, who knows? We'll see. But definitely, you know, locking in to the steakhouse, growing from there, having maybe some new concepts arise with my partners. We'll see. Um, that is one thing that I would love to do. No, that I'm gonna do.
That the wording is very important.
It
So
is. It
I'm glad that you're saying that. So would you ever consider opening up your own restaurant?
Yes. One of my dreams, again, I just fell in love with open kitchens. And that is one thing at Baker Street I actually started doing. So I don't think there have been many chefs from Indiana on Hell's Kitchen. So everybody has that Indiana who's your pride, and they're like, I want to meet you. Hell yeah. So I currently don't have. I'm sous chef down, so I really can't leave the kitchen. So I've been letting guests come through the kitchen to say hello, and it's so great because the cooks are like, oh my god, what's happening? I love it. So I've told my partners, I'm like, guys, we need an open kitchen. It would be great. It would be grand. So having an open kitchen concept would be great. Right now I am with the Obakai restaurant group, so hopefully getting to grow with them and being able to venture with my own concept with them and be part of that umbrella.
Awesome. Well, put me on the reservation books when that happens. Definitely love
I'll
to
fly you out,
visit.
Chef. I'll fly you out.
um and the next actually, what do you want your name to mean in 10 years, or even when you finally, hey, it's time to hang up the chef coat.
Yeah.
What do you want people to say about you and who you were as a chef, and your legacy?
I think for me is I want to be not recognized as a teacher. I think I've been very big about that in the last 5 years, but have if I could see my team grow into those roles, as sous chefs, as executive chefs, basically the chefs of tomorrow. That sounds so corny, but yeah, having them grow into the chefs of tomorrow, and then having them teach someone and be like, I had this Chef Magali. She would tell me this, and now I know why. But do it this way, or like having them generate that kitchen culture that we're trying to move into, and just having those lessons of me in their head being like, why are we doing this? No, let's do it that way. Or, those lessons being passed on, basically.
If a young cook is listening and they are ready to quit this week, what would you want to tell them, chef to chef?
Take a breath. Go in the freezer. That's my thing. Go in the freezer, take a deep breath. It is hard now, but the hardest part will be over. And you'll feel super proud of overcoming that hard part that you're experiencing. And don't give up. Just throw yourself back out there at the problem, basically.
Awesome. Chef, last question.
Yes.
Who would you love to see on Chef Ismael's Kitchen Quest next? Name 3 chefs.
I thought about this. You got me last time. I would love to see Chef James Avery, Chef Megan from Hell's Kitchen, Chef Anne Marie, and I'm going to give you 4th, Chef Amanda. Sorry, guys, I called you out.
Awesome. Well, I'll try to get in contact with them and see, hopefully we can schedule something. But Chef Magali, I appreciate you taking the time to sit with me, to speak with me, and to share your knowledge. It's an absolute pleasure, and I'm so glad I pressed the record button this time.
Yes. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.